Hello everybody and welcome to the Quad Aces show for July 6th, 2017. We've got a nice little 8-game slate for tonight that we're getting ready for. My name's Rob Gardner. You can find me on Twitter at DFS Today. And we've got an interesting slate when it comes to pitching, so let's get in on this. We're going to start at the top, and I'm going to go with the chalk tonight, and that's Chris Sale. Obviously, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. He's had one of the best seasons in baseball. He gets a really favorable matchup against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. The Devil Rays don't hit left-handed pitching well, so the massive upside is definitely there. We know Sale consistently goes late into games, and Tampa Bay is on the pitcher's side of the pitcher's park spectrum. Not a lot of thought here. Put him in your cash lineups, and where you can afford to get exposure to him, especially with the cheaper stacks that are out there. I definitely recommend it. One team I'm going to write up in my stacks article today, the Atlanta Braves have some really good BVP against Gio Gonzalez. And so there's a nice correlation play there. You know, if you're going to go Sale over Gonzalez, you could afford him pretty nicely by throwing in some Atlanta bats. So just something to keep in mind there. Sale, the obvious number one. Moving on to number two, Robbie Ray. I'm really big on Robbie Ray for several reasons today. One of the biggest is his road stats are phenomenal. He's got a 1.73 ERA on the road so far this year. He's due for a little bit of negative regression, so that will come up a little bit as the season goes on. And some of that is also attributed to the fact that Arizona is a strong hitter's park, and so his stats are going to be more inflated at home than on the road. But the bottom line is the guy just dominates. Over his last 6 starts, he's averaging a K per 9 of 15.1. And certainly against the Dodgers, this is a place where he could rack up some more Ks, put a strong outing. The other big thing with Robbie Ray, I'm going to talk about Rich Hill in a little bit here, but I'm a little squeamish about Hill. And so one of the things that I love to do in pitching, when you're especially in tournaments and especially in large GPPs, if you want to get contrarian, look for the slight underdogs that are in great spots. Because not only are the field going to be pretty heavy on the dominant pitcher, which in this case would be Rich Hill, but very rarely on 2-pitcher sites do you see people take pitchers from the same game. Now, I don't see a problem with that. I think you can take pitchers from the same game and get one of those 2-1, 1-0 outings. I guess some people get squeamish about not being able to get the pitching win from both pitchers, but pitching wins are so unpredictable anyway. I don't think you should really be calculating based on that. And so it's a great way to find a contrarian pick, and this is a perfect spot for that. And any other night, if the Dodgers were a favorite tonight, or sorry, not the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks were a favorite tonight, Robbie Ray's percentage would be higher owned. But I do believe with him going against Rich Hill and Rich Hill being the favorite, his ownership is going to be driven down. That makes him a really sexy play tonight. At number 3, we've got Lance McCullers. Here's another guy that I think is going to get a little bit overlooked because of the matchup, because he's playing in Toronto, which is a big hitter's park. But come on, this is not the Toronto of years past. They've struggled a lot in their last few games. They did break out for 7 runs against the Yankees yesterday, but we're not believing that they've magically turned this around. They've struggled all year. They have struggled at home. McCullers has been insanely consistent. The last time he had a bad outing goes all the way back to April 26th, and the Blue Jays really haven't seen much of McCullers, and when you get a strong pitcher against a team that has not faced that pitcher before, has not seen a lot of his pitches, I give the advantage to the pitcher. Considering that only a few guys on the team have faced McCullers, and they've only faced him a max of 3 times, really like McCullers in this matchup. I like him to be under-owned, and I like him to be a sneaky pivot off of Chris Sale and the chalk tonight. And that brings me to the topic I brought up a little bit earlier, which is Rich Hill. Now, let me start with the good with Rich Hill, okay? He struggled during the middle of the season and decided to make some adjustments to his pitching style. He was throwing from 2 different arm angles. He went down to simplifying and just keeping one consistent arm angle with his curveball. This improved his consistency. It improved his accuracy. He also started to pitch less and less from the stretch because he wanted to have a more consistent windup and a more consistent approach to the plate. These things have all worked for him and led to 3 really good starts in a row. However, he is still going against an Arizona Dodgers team, or Arizona Diamondbacks team that I think is dangerous. And there's an interesting effect here because this is going to be the 3rd left-handed pitcher in a row to face the Diamondbacks. However, it's been getting a little bit easier each time. Just like hitters go into the batter's box and they put the weight on the bat and swing with the weight on the bat so that when they take the weight off, the bat feels lighter. When you go from Clayton Kershaw, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, to Alex Wood, who in his own right is really amazing, to Rich Hill, it's kind of like taking the weight off the bat. And I'm just a little concerned that after 3 lefties in a row going down, Arizona might have some impact against it. Now look, pitching is not deep tonight. There aren't a lot of options. I'm not a Gio fan tonight. Jacob Faria is probably the next pivot if I wanted to give an honorable mention. There's not a lot of good value pitching tonight, and so I'm just a little bit leery of having exposure to Hill because I think he could give up 3 or 4 runs in this game, and that's why I'm a little bit leaning towards Robbie Ray as a great correlation play to get off Hill. That being said, with the limited options, obviously get some exposure to Hill. He certainly could have another dominant performance. That's it for us today. As always, make sure that you check us out, www.fantasydgens.com. You can find us on Twitter at FantasyDgens. We're on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/FantasyDgens. And click the subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you click that so you can get updates anytime our videos come out for our many sports. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.